OK， 好，幸好我发现了啊。OK， 好，所以我们就课程呢都会录影，然后也会上线，所以如果有同学中途可能有一些地方漏了，也都随时可以在 YouTube 上面查询。也谢谢我们的所有的讲者呢，愿意让我们的课程呢非常的公开非常的透明。那这个与此同时世界各地的经济状况也好，政治状况也好，都有很多因应科技，还有因应新的时代的非常多不同的讨论。但是我相信，透明信任科技去结合这个时代的体制，应该会有很多新的可能性啦哈。所以我想大家有不同的观点都非常的好。那也希望呢，大家可以运用科技从不同的观点里面呢，来有一天能够做出贡献。好，那我就不多说，我把时间交给我们的这个一系列工作坊的Gen3 这个 Frank 这里来帮我们做一下简单的引言，谢谢。
OK， 谢谢保罗。同学们大家好，希望你们的期中考都还顺利。对，那我们有收到就是大家的这个期中的报告，那其实很多很棒的 idea， 然后大家也很踊跃参加，总共有60个提交。那这部分我们也会稍微的看一下有没有可以帮大家连接这个夜市的可能性。对，好，那今天呢回到我们这个第一堂课嘛，有点久没见了。对，那我这边稍微带到我们之前准备的课纲。OK， 好，那以下是我们针对Solana这个生态系希望带给大家的一些业界最新的动向。那第一堂课我们今天是这个主题叫的 World Builders。对，那这堂课我们希望开启大家一个视野。那由于基本上进入了区块链的第一天，也就是在跟全世界合作，就不是只是在台北市或台中市这种 scale。那进入区块链第一天就是会跟全世界接轨，会跟全世界协作。那这件事情是一个非常重要的事情。然后我们也有这个带经验讲者是 Super Team， 那 Super Team 他们是在全世界各地各国都有这个 local 的团队，在各地去做一些贡献，然后为整个区块链整个 Solana 生态系做出一些革新。OK， 那接下来的课程基本上算是敲定了。好，那在下礼拜我们会做的是 AI 跟 Blockchain 技术结合的探讨。那这边我们请到的是 Virtuals， 也就是之前在 Base 跟 Solana 上面都有发行一些 AI 的 Agent， 还有一些 AI Coin 的这个项目方，他们会来做一些介绍。那接下来会是由Solana Foundation 出席，他们会来讲一些，之前有提到一个是川普那边有宣布Solana之后可能会被大幅的采用，那Solana Foundation 这边也派人来做一些探讨，这件事情是不是能够真的帮到政府 ？OK， 那在5月开始的话，我们会进行的是一些 Meme Coin， 这大家应该会比较有兴趣一点。OK， 那我们请到的是 GMGN， 他们是算是一个 trading 平台，他们是 focus 在Meme Coin 上面。对，所以这堂课会带大家去介绍，究竟发 Meme Coin 代表什么意义？那是不是我也可以发 Meme Coin， 你也可以发 Meme Coin？ 那发了又怎么样？这是我们需要去探讨的一个议题。OK， 最后一堂课，我们就要带大家走出 Solana， 走出单一条链。OK，so，这个 breakout 是带领大家怎么出圈，把区块链这技术带出只有一条链上，或者是带出只有区块链的使用者，怎么样让你的阿嬷、你的阿公都可以去使用区块链这个服务 ？OK， 这是我们这学期我们需要探讨的几个重点。好，那今天的话，有一个坏消息就是我们会是用英文进行，OK， 所以大家如果有任何问题，就是在留言区里面留言，那看助教能不能帮忙，或者是我们小伙伴 H 也在这里，可以帮大家做一些翻译或提问。好，那好消息就是我们请到一个大咖，那是Super Team 的 APEC Lead， 他叫安。安 ，Are you here?
Hello.
Hi. You want to say hi to the students of the top university in Taiwan?
Hello. How's it going? My name is On Tran, and I like as Frank said, I helped lead a super team for the APAC region. Glad to
Yes.
be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're nice to have you here. So we're gonna take a look back on the very first class. We show this chat to the students. We talk about the history of Solana, and obviously there was a hype and there was a button, right? So the button basically caused by FTX collapse, and the purpose of showing this chat is to tell the students that in this button, what gets Solana back here are the builders. All right, are the builders. This is the period that Solana Foundation hosted many hackathons, workshops all around the world. Of course, collaborating with Super Team, the local chapters. That's why we can see Solana back here. Okay, so I think today is very important that we want to explore how is the Solana builders in Solana, what's their contribution and how it works with the super team. So it's really nice to have you on. You will take the first lead of the first section, and the following section we will have Super Team Korea to present their local initiatives, which just finished a few weeks ago. Okay, so Anne, are you ready?
Yeah. Let me, can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me present. Okay, let's show this. I do in slide mode. All right, here we go. All right, I think everybody can see. Okay, wonderful. Again, thank you so much for taking your time to have me on stage. Frank, thanks for inviting me. And thank you to the university and the professor for giving us the opportunity to just talk a little bit about the Solana ecosystem here, and specifically Super Team and how it relates to the ecosystem itself. Just going back to your chart a little bit, I joined Solana Foundation and Super Team in the summer of 2022, pretty much when the price was down to around $40, right? And then as things kind of move forward through the year, FTX happened, Luna happened, and it went down all the way down to $8. And everybody said that Solana was dead at the time, that there was no coming back from an implosion of that nature. Everybody basically wrote our obituaries. People made fun of us, but this is kind of where you really find out who you are as a human being, as an ecosystem, right? And we all just basically put our heads down. We worked on the application side. We thought about the future. We thought about the technology. We thought about real use cases. We treated it like a business. And we built through that bear cycle, right? We, chewed glass. We built through the bear cycle, and we're kind of up to where we are today, right? But let me take a step back and talk about Solana in a very abstract way, philosophically who we are, and why we've become pretty much the #1 chain by all measurable metrics, and how Super Team, the community layer, plays a role in that, and where you guys, sitting in the audience, can also play a role in working inside this the Solana ecosystem. So what is Solana, right? Solana is a layer 1, but there's really 3 layers of abstraction, right? So the first thing that we try to solve for is the economy. And what I mean by that is the goal is to build like a world-class on-chain economy, global capital formation and movement, how money moves from one part of the world to the other part of the world, and how economies are built, how money moves from Taiwan to Ho Chi Minh City to the United States, all through this one simplified layer 1 blockchain, right? The second piece of the abstraction is the technology, the tools, the resources to build novel applications. How do we unlock developers and delight users to actually build and use the products on chain? And finally, the blockchain piece, which is decentralization. We want it fast, we want it cheap, and all of that is under the scope of the L1 blockchain. And we want ubiquitous access to transact and compute around it. Philosophically, L1s are more like cities and less so like companies, right? That's how we believe it. And the difference between a company and a city is very clear, right? A company tries to generate profits, it tries to acquire users, and it tries to build its own product. Contrarily, a city or a nation state, if you will, tries to create economies. We try to acquire producers, and we try to support those producers. And I'll kind of give you a contrast, right? When you think about Binance, right, what do you think about? Do you think about Binance is the BSC chain that tries to generate economies, acquire producers, or support those producers? Or do you really think of them as a company that owns something like Binance.com, right? Where their real end goal, when you think about Binance as an ecosystem, is really to acquire users, to trade on Binance, generate profits for that company itself, right? And so that's kind of the difference. Solana, we don't create competitive products to the builders in the ecosystem, right? Solana Foundation doesn't own an NFT marketplace. It doesn't own a centralized exchange. It doesn't own a restaking protocol. It creates the infrastructure, the highways, the roads, if you will. We have low taxes, fast highways in order to get as many producers like companies like Zeus, companies like Solaire, companies like Phantom to build on top of our city in our ecosystem that doesn't compete against everybody else, right? So we think of ourselves as a city versus a company. And because of that philosophy, we think we've had the success we have today, right? So some of the key facts on Solana is that there's 4,500 nodes, 50 million daily transactions, $8 billion in daily volume, low median fees, and the fastest settlement rate in the business today. And why does this kind of all matter? It sounds like a bunch of numbers if you think about it overall, right? But it matters because you have this like unified vision of accessibility, usability, and scale. And it demonstrates that Solana's scale maturity with these metrics rival its TradFi kind of systems. And it underscores the cost efficiency and the transaction throughput. So what this means is that you can have things like DeFi, gaming applications, payment applications, scalability for banks, all happening within one ecosystem, because you have to basically, if you want people to move into this new blockchain world, it has to mirror the real world and become even more efficient, which is why these facts are extremely important. But because of all the things that we've done, we've now made Solana the most used blockchain in the world. And if you look at these two charts, you can see that we do more daily transactions than all the other major chains combined. And we are leading in fee pairs against all of the major blockchains, right? Those are the things that actually matter the most, right? At the very end of the day, it's about who uses the application, who uses the blockchain itself, and how much fees and revenue you can generate. That's just like thinking yourself like a real business, right? That's why these things matter. These are a bunch of different charts, but if you kind of look at it, we basically outpace the other largest chain, which is Ethereum, across all the most meaningful metrics, from like real economic value, the total application revenues, right? Ethereum, you can say, has a higher total value locked, meaning money locked into the ecosystem, but that doesn't really say anything, right? We believe the most important things to think about are how much revenue gets generated from the ecosystem, what the DEX volumes are, how many active addresses, what's the stable coin volume. Those are the real indicators of how healthy an ecosystem is and how well used and utilized an ecosystem is, right? And these trends are currently accelerating, right? So the top net flows for all chains is obviously still Solana today, right? The most amount of money's coming into chains is Solana. I think one of the most important things that we're concerned about from the Solana ecosystem is speed, right? Speed is extremely important, right? So finality time measures how quickly a user's actions can be confirmed on a blockchain network, right? And we basically offer almost instantaneous settlements that no other chain can match, right? If you look at Polygon, Ethereum, there's nobody that can do it within milliseconds, right? And why that matters is that you have to think about if you're building a game, right? You're playing a Web 2 application game, right? You need the responses to be nearly instantaneous. When you're dealing with payment rails, right? When you're dealing with stablecoin transactions at point of sales, right? When you swipe that credit card, you basically get a transaction coming back that says declined or approved, right? And so that's why speed is so important. Now, if you're at a checkout stand and you wait 3 minutes to see if you have a decline or approved transaction, nobody's going to use that, right? Because it doesn't rival what actually exists in the real world, in traditional finance space right now. So you've got it. So the goal is always to get faster and faster as you possibly can to match or even do better than our TradFi counterparts. Additionally, if you look at the scale and the size of the blockchain ecosystem as it compares to TradFi services or TradFi economies, Solana generates $10 billion in daily volume and 50 million daily transactions. So if you think about like all the global listed equities in the world, the only things that are bigger than Solana would be the NASDAQ, the NYSE, the Shenzhen, the Nikkei. But if you look at like where we stand, right, we do just Solana alone does as many transaction and dollar transactions as say the Taiwan Stock Exchange or the Korea Stock Exchange on a daily basis, right? And that number is growing, right? Listed equities, the numbers are slightly growing on a annualized basis, but crypto is growing at a much larger pace. So at some point in the future, the goal is to have crypto and even Solana be able to compete against the NASDAQ or the NYSE in terms of number of transactions. State compression. That's another really important thing. Not only do you need to have speed in an ecosystem so it rivals what happens in the real world, you've got to be able to transact at a very, very, very low cost itself, right? And for us, state compression allows us to take, say, 1 million NFTs and to mint those million NFTs for about $100, whereas something on the Ethereum ecosystem would still cost $33 million, and Polygon, another competitive ecosystem, would cost $33,000. And why does this matter, right? Why do these numbers actually matter? Think about applications like ticketing, gaming assets, where you have like hundreds, if not dozens to hundreds of game items itself, user badges, loyalty program. Every time you transact a loyalty program, you need to make each and every single one of those transactions sub pennies, right? So any high volume NFT application, like even identification, decentralized identification, 8 billion people in the world, certifications, all those type of things where you want to attribute characteristics or like an NFT to the individual, you've got to make sure those costs are pretty much sub penny, right? The goal for Solana at the end of the day is to be able to have each transaction cost as much as sending an email. That's how cheap we want to get the system to. So essentially, when you send a Gmail or Yahoo mail out to somebody, you're not thinking of the cost because the application basically absorbs all of that. That's essentially where Solana wants to go. Some of the more important kind of like features in the future are that we think we're going to have 100x improvement would be things like FireDancer, right? This is another independent validator developed by Jump. Solana would be the only second chain next to Ethereum and Bitcoin to have a second ground up validator client. Basically what this will allow us to do is, it will have greater network resiliency against attacks and going down and things like that. But it also gets us to the point where we can get to 1 million transactions per second, right? And so why does that matter? Again, like I want to always bring it back to why this matters to the real world. So you need to be able to have like these ultra high throughput environments in order to do things like IoT devices, where you have, or gaming, where you need millions and millions of transactions that need to happen all the time, or banking, where there's billions of people in the world who are transacting millions of transactions almost every second, right? This would add things like trust to security, institutional adoption, but by having these higher, better performance metrics. But I think underneath the technology, right? So I've kind of talked about the technology, but what does it mean for the real world, right? So for the real world, financial services firms now choose Solana for payments and commerce. As an example, right? Visa could have chosen a bunch of different L1s or L2s, but the stable settlement with merchant acquirers via USDC is done on the Solana rails, right? So that's the real world impact. You have these institutional players that want to work with fast, cheap, and most secure, right? Which is what Solana is. Stripe, for example, uses a user to merchant payments with USDC and Solana, and PayPal recently launched their own stablecoin, PYUSD, which does settlements on Solana itself. Additionally, alongside payment service firms, Solana is now being adopted by the world's largest asset managers, right? So, for example, Hamilton Lane, Brevin Howard have tokenized funds that are on Solana. Franklin Templeton, they're a $1 trillion money manager out of the United States, is issuing Benji tokens or money market accounts on Solana. Biddle from BlackRock is issuing tokenized assets on Solana, and so is Wellington, which is bringing a Singapore-issued USD money fund to Solana. So really, all the biggest and largest asset managers in the world trust the Solana ecosystem to build products on top of. I would say that of all the use cases that you see in the world today, right, for why do we need to use blockchain, the number one product market fit would probably be stablecoins, right? And if you look at stablecoin as a use case, Solana is the number one chain right now for stablecoin usage, by and far above all other chains, right? $8.7 trillion in stablecoin volume year to date as of November 1. This was 2024. We're trusted by the stablecoin issuers like Societe Generale, PayPal, Siam Commercial Bank, and we're approved by the New York Department of Financial Services and the Thai Digital Asset Regulatory Sandbox for stablecoin issuances. There's a difference between permission and permissionless network, right? Solana itself is a permissionless network, meaning that you can transact without gatekeepers on there. But for banking institutions like some of the banks that we're talking to right now, you kind of have to have a permission environment. So I think the big concern that a lot of people have about blockchain transactions is whether or not, like, if I'm sending Frank, 10 USDC, right? Frank doesn't want everybody else to know that I'm sending him money because, I bought him, a beer the other night, and he doesn't want anybody to know that he drinks beer, right? So now with permissioned token extensions, you actually have the ability to hide those transactions, right? Through things like confidential balances and confidential transfers, right? So it allows for basically more privacy, more use cases, especially from a banking services perspective. You can do token transfer hooks to kind of enforce KYC policies and things like that. You can delegate. So there's all sorts of different things that are kind of built with Solana that allows not only for a permissionless environment, but also for a permission environment itself. So that's the Solana ecosystem. That's Solana's technology and some of the use cases. The next thing I kind of want to talk to you about is Super Team. right? And so I see Scott just came online. Scott is our good friend and lead over Super Team Korea. I actually started out as the lead for Super Team Vietnam. Over the years now, I help run the Super Team community for the APAC region, which consists of Vietnam, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, right, and Malaysia and Philippines. So 7 super teams within the region, and we're still currently expanding to places like Thailand, Pakistan, and different places. We also have a Chinese-speaking Solana community called Solar, which covers places like Hong Kong, Taiwan, and mainland, right? Which is it's kind of part of the general family itself. But what is Super Team? So Super Team ostensibly is the community layer for the Solana Foundation. The objective is to try to find all of the best creatives, developers, and operators, and find them to help build and grow projects on Solana within the different countries that they're at. So in North America, we'll have Mexico and Canada. In Europe, we'll have Germany, UK, France, Balkans, Poland, Turkey, as super teams. And the goals for each one of those super teams is to essentially find the best developers, the best producers, the best artists, and then help them build cool products on in the Solana ecosystem itself. So this is kind of like a slightly older map of the Solana ecosystem, but there's currently 18 different Solana super teams out there with new super teams popping up all the time. The motto right now is that the sun never sets on a super team, because we've got some super team. It's light where a super team is somewhere in the world. And what does the super teams do, right? Essentially, like I said, we help these developers build cool products, but it's essentially helping Solana founders win and onboarding talent into Web3. And because of all these things, right, you see that like Solana ecosystem, super team ecosystems pop up everywhere. You've got over 50,000 in real life events that have happened over the last 3 years. The community as a whole has earned $7.8 million. I think the number now is closer to like $9.5 million in community GDP. And what I mean by community GDP is that it's like, for example, we help the people in your community apply for grants. We help them build projects. We help them win hackathons. We help them raise money. And all those things come back to contributing to GDP for that ecosystem. And we provide great learning opportunities and earning opportunities for everybody. One of the core features that we believe in creating a healthy ecosystem is making sure that people earn inside that ecosystem, right? Because if you don't make money, you're going to move off to some other ecosystem out there, right? And that's essentially who we're competing against. But that's essentially the Solana ecosystem, the super team ecosystem. Frank, I know I kind of like ran through a few of those slides quickly. I swear to you, I tried to slow down as much as I possibly could, but I just have a habit of running fast. But anyways, that's my presentation. I'll make a copy for Frank to share and distribute to you guys. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Wonderful. I totally see your passion, like running too fast. Yeah, but it was like really great presentation and about Solana and Super Team. And I think I particularly love about what you say, like Solana is a city and Super Team is community layer. I think that's very good points. So I think here we have like students, they are not start working yet, and they have full of like creativities they want to blast out somewhere. I think they might have some questions like, for example, like I'm a builder, I'm a contributor, what can I build? So could you like kind of guide in how to find out what it can build?
I mean, you can build anything you want. That at the end of the day, you can build anything you want, right? The real question you should ask yourself when you're building something is, what are you trying to solve for, right? What is the pain point of that you might have that your project will eventually solve for that problem, And those are the best projects that are out there, right? Like, Frank is close with the Zeus guys. And what's the problem, right? The problem is that BTC generating yield on Solana is very difficult, right? And there's not many protocols that can do that. So Zeus is ostensibly helping bring BTC over to Solana. That's a real pain point they're solving for, right? Because there's limited supply of Bitcoin out there. Most of them, they're just sitting around and they're a store of value like gold. But what if you could create yield off of it, right? And so that's kind of like, that's the pain point of all these like rich Bitcoin holders have, right? I want to make money off my Bitcoin other than loaning it out, right? So how do I generate different types of yield? So in terms of what type of projects to think about, always think about at the very end of the day, think about your pain point and to solve for that pain point through an application on Web3. But there's tons, there's everything from the simple product market fit would be, how do I make payments easier using Web3? Or how do I make tokenized gaming fun again with Web3?
Okay. So find the pain point or the sweet spot in your life and try to solve it. I think that's a good conclusion. So I want to say that like during this uncertain market, as a builder team, what's your advice to the builders?
I think that the market has got a bit of a hiccup right now. We don't really comment on the state of the market because markets go up, markets go down. There are, interesting geopolitical things that are happening in the United States right now. On the one hand, we've got probably a president that has the most pro-crypto policies the United States ever seen. And on the other hand, he's kind of throwing firebombs to the rest of the world, for tariffs. So there's like an imbalance of like economies that are moving up and down. But that really just shouldn't matter for you guys, right? At the end of the day, the market could be high, it could be low, but the question is like, what is it that you want to build that you think can make an impact on the world, right? That's the only thing that really matters to you. I believe Azure Sai says, how do we join Super Team as a Taiwan chapter? So there's a group called Solar. Let me send you the link here. And you can join those guys because it is the Chinese-speaking Super Team, and they're great folks over there.
Yes, Solar. We're gonna have Adam in the talk in a few weeks.
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic.
Okay. Any questions from the students? 大家有什么问题可以中文、英文都可以。可以打在留言区或直接发问。Okay, let me quickly introduce about the practice of today. Maybe I can drag some questions out from the audience. All right. Yeah. The practice of today for the students, because these courses, students will in the end have some kind of reports about the idea, what they want to build. So I think this practice, these questions, maybe can help them to find out what they can build. So this practice of this class will be identify the challenges or advantages of your country, society, family, personal, and explore how blockchain can help it. Okay. So 同学们可以看一下，这是今天的练习。然后我们经过这些介绍，思考一下，究竟区块链能够带给大家什么样的帮助？那我们可以辨识出我们的生活周遭有什么样的面临的问题，或者是台湾本身有什么优势，我们是可以拿出来把它放大，或者是把它优化，还是利用区块链技术去达成。 OK， 好。
I mean, I just off the top of my head, I think there are like so many cool things that could happen in Taiwan. Like what I understand is like everybody votes in Taiwan, right?
Yes.
So because they're super engaged in the political process, but I think that those things can be enhanced, right? So decentralized identification, right? DID, right? To ostensibly enable public records or even grant budgets, things like that, to be kind of more visible on the blockchain. But certain things being locked and everything being on the blockchain, you could create a better a more secure infrastructure, if you will, right? Using blockchain technology. Taiwan is also like a big exporter of goods and products. So supply chain traceability on chain, right? Just would make things more transparent and very easy. You could have a pay-fi based system where we have something called buy now, pay never, or buy now, pay later. Ostensibly, Taiwan sells product to the United States, but instead of using intermediary banks to do loans between both countries, you can basically stake your money on chain or do on-chain lending in a way that kind of gets rid of like a lot of the intermediary banks and makes the process a lot cheaper. So, I mean, I think just looking inside your country, there's a lot of different things that like blockchain technology could easily help with.
Exactly. I think there's a lot we can do here as a community layer, as a builder. We can totally solve that. Okay. I think if no further question, do you have any question? 同学们有没有什么问题对于 Super Team， 或是刚刚我们看到很多Solana一些相关的数据，然后机构级的采用这些，其实这些都是一些机会的展示吧，对吧？就像按说从底部开始 build 开始不断的建造一些新的应用、新的产品然后把整个链一直在强化，最终吸引到一些大人物的注意，对吧？像川普，像一些机构级这种 BlackRock， 这叫什么贝莱德这种资产管理的机构注意，对吧 ？So 好，这当中都是有很多机会的。Okay, I think no further questions here. We can move on to Scott. Scott,
Awesome.
Say hi.
Scott is much smarter than I am. You're going to learn a lot more from him.
All right. Thank you, An. Hello, everyone. Hello, Frank.
Hi. Well,
so should I just begin, or should I just introduce myself? How does it work?
All right. I think thank you, An. We're gonna move on to Scott. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. See you next time. All right, Scott. Hi. How are you?
Hello. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Scott. I'm the Super Team Korea lead. Thanks for having me. We had Zeus, team, Peter, and Justin, attending the Solana event. So I'd like to go over some of the landscape, like Web3 environment in Korea, and a little bit of recap on the Solana hackathon and how we sort of building the developers community in Korea, especially from the Super Team Korean side. So let me share the deck, if you don't mind. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of recap, I just introduce myself. So my name is Scott. Going back to 2017, I founded my own blockchain startup on Clayton. There's an IT company called Kakao, and I built a dApp on Clayton. I was the first sort of dApp on Clayton. I was running the service for 2 years, and then I exited in 2020. Joined QVC's from the accelerator in Korea, and I going back to Kakao Entertainment. I was head of business for NFT division. And back then, interesting story is I was trying to launch some of the NFTs on Solana. So that's how I got connected to Solana ecosystem back then. But then I joined Near, and then I worked for Near Foundation for almost 2.5 years. And then I came back to Solana and launched Super Team Korea last December. So basically, I think our regional lead, gave a great overview what the super team is, how many super team is. So I'll kind of go right into what we do. So we are very, very focused on fostering the Web3 developer community, such as hosting hackathons, boot camps, sessions like what we are doing right now. We are doing it every week on Tuesdays, and from time to time, we do a lot of seminars too. So we also do work with a lot of KOLs and some of the blockchain clubs like you guys. We have something called Heist, which is the MIT of Korea. We are working with Seoul National University, Gen3 University, Korean University. So these top tier universities have all the blockchain clubs and academies. So we try to support them, giving grants or trying to provide them a place to hack or build. And so going back to Solana 2025, that was our sort of local hackathon we hosted. So we had over 300 builders attended. We had more than 50 projects submitted. And then finally, we had 18 winning teams. And the good thing is we were able to secure, thanks to Zeus Network, we were able to secure 97K, including the credit. Credit, I mean, it's like a Google Cloud platform like credit or anything like RPC nodes or API credits. So we were able to secure that and then be able to distribute to all the winners. So I think what it is at the end of the day, Solana did a really good job building this local community. I would say it's a local. What I mean by is that, Solana didn't do a top-down approach, whereas Solana believe that, they have to have a local teams taking care of the local communities, such as you guys. So we are probably the last sort of super teams to be launched. But as you guys know, Korea, we love blockchain. We love crypto. Our trading volume is #2 in the world. Our sort of mid-20s, mid-30s, even 40s, we trade crypto on a daily basis. So I think we definitely have something similar at Taiwan and South Korea, because if you look at our population, it's not that much compared to global level. And we don't have much resources like oil, gas, minerals, even trees, right? We don't have any natural resources. What we have is basically human resources, human power, the brain. And so I know Taiwan is very good at producing the semiconductors, all different kinds of chips. Same as Korea, we have Samsung, SK Hynix, producing the semiconductors, mobile phones, even cars. I mean, our economy model is kind of relying on the export, rather importing the natural resources and producing it and making it. So I think going back to Web3, very similar. The reason why all these mainnets, blockchains, layer ones, dApps are coming to Korean market is because Koreans love to try something new, especially early stage. And so that's why I think when we launched, everyone kind of wanted to work with us, especially on the GTM side. They know that we trade crypto a lot. We are very involved with researching what's going on, the new technologies and trends. So that's why I think the Solana hackathon we hosted was successful. And a lot of partners, including Zeus, like 20 other different global partners and sponsors were able to help our builders. So what are the next step? Is that we're gonna be doing more hackathons. we have a team, local Solana team called Fragmentric. They actually started exactly like you guys. They're out of Decipher, which is the blockchain club from Seoul National University. They are the top #1 university in Korea, and they have a talented developers, product managers, designers, and they all gather and they create a team. And now they secure like 12 million USD, and they're building a LST, LRT on Solana. So they're coming up with very creative ideas, working with other partners. And I know also CEOs had a discussion with Fragmentric, but going forward, like I mentioned before, we do have like a vertical captains like AI, DeFi, gaming, DeepIn, and also the dApp. And so we have like these local captains helping our community builders like you guys in Korea when they have questions, when they have no idea what to build. We go out there and try to sort of give them a guidance. And also we have 3 different guild ways. What guild is like the blockchain clubs. So we have 3 different guilds in our super team Korea. We have Oracle from Price, we have Day from Gen3 University, and we have a PIDA from Post-Tech University. These are other tech universities, but we believe that these builders can build next Fragmentric in Korea. So we are supporting them on a regular basis. And we are very concentrated on creating more builders. And eventually, what I believe is that we have to bring Web2 builders to Web3. There are not many Web3 builders, if you look at it, especially the Solana side. They're using a language called Rust. Rust is very popular in the US, but not in Asia. So we're trying to educate them with like YouTubes, any like on-offline sessions. So we're putting a lot of efforts into education to begin with. And I think that this grassroots community approaching is working very well. So we, in one word, we're trying to become a bridge with the local builders, connecting to them to global level. So Zeus had their own track. I mean, as you can tell, Zeus is such a great project because we never seen this very innovative. We never seen Bitcoin being able to kind of build on Solana, and then you can kind of program it on top of Solana. So you guys should definitely look into the Zeus network ecosystem. And we had 3 winners on Zeus network. It was very popular. We had Zipubao building ILS with the Bitcoin utility on Solana. They won the first prize on the Zeus track. We had a BitPay, we have Stream Square. These guys are the common thing. All these winners are student clubs, like blockchain clubs from universities. And so it was very meaningful to basically, it says that, blockchain clubs can win the hackathons and they can actually be turning it to the founders and the actual team. So we are very glad to see that these teams won, especially from the university side. So we're gonna keep supporting them. I would say, I don't know what the culture is like in Taiwan, but in Korea, if you tell your parents that you're gonna be dropping out of college, I mean, you're a big troublemaker, right? But what I'm seeing is in the US, if you actually look at it, all these founders from like Facebook, all these like Microsoft, all these genius, like all these unicorns, billionaires are all college dropouts. They have something in common. They're college dropouts. And so I'm not like saying that you should be dropping out of college, but my goal is that these smart kids, from this college, they think that they have nothing to learn from their professor. They are already ahead of the professor. They know what to do. They don't want to waste time. Right? So interesting thing is these guys, the winners, are coming to me and saying, "Look, can you find some investor to put some money in? Because I want to be dropping out of college. I want to start this project. I'm very serious. If you can help me to find a team, that'd be great, right?" So I think you gotta be sometimes brave enough to start your own projects, whereas time is money basically, right? So if you're very confident, if you have a conviction, that you find the market fit, or if you want the hackathon track, so you think that something's going to be working, you should definitely, go for it, right? And then ask help to Frank or Peter or Justin from Zoom Smart Room. That will definitely help you out. And so these are some of the pictures from our winners. We're going to be continuing to find these builders, hosting hackathons, and let them compete, let them, polish their projects and debut on the global level. I think that's what we are doing actually, basically. So we're going to keep doing it, and that's about it. And I just wanted to kind of wanted to move on to like Q&A. Basically, want to be able to answer any questions that you guys have in Korea or speaking Korea, and what we do in Korea.
Nice. Yeah. Definitely don't drop out of the school. The professor will kick me. I say that in the first class, actually. And the professor say, no, you cannot. Yeah, but I mean, blockchain is permissionless, right? We can't stop any talent to build anything on blockchain, right? If you want to build something, if you want to really contribute to the world, to the country, to yourself, blockchain is your stage. Blockchain is your stage. I think that's inspiration from your speak. Yeah. So I'm surprised that Pragmatic is also from the student club. You said that?
Yes, they are. They are from Seoul National University. So they're the, I think it's similar to you guys. They're national university, so it is a lot of people that goes to Seoul National University get scholarships from the government, and they're usually top of the class, and they're very smart guys. They're from dApp. dApp is a blockchain club from Seoul National University. They're number one, and they actually all from dApp, almost all. So I was very impressed that its teams already had a team spirit, something in common. So what I realized, they have an advantage in terms of the teamwork, right? They're very close, like they know what they're doing in terms of like work ethic. Their teamwork was like super, like can be compared to any other startups. So they didn't waste any time, building this trust or relationship or the teamwork. They just did it, right? So yeah, I think it works. Definitely, I would say these top talents are usually from the blockchain clubs from university.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And also actually, the hackathon winner of Zeus Track is also from university, right?
Yes, they're from KAIST, which is like the number one tech university in Korea. It's a blockchain club. It's called Oracle. So, Sam, what they built was crazy. They actually spent the whole night for 2 days, and they were able to bring that off. I mean, of course, it was not like perfect, but like the idea was great, right? So definitely encouraging all you guys to open class hackathons as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So hackathons. Yeah. Could you tell us more about like hackathon? What is really a hackathon?
It's basically a competition, right? So you are forming a team. I mean, you can participate as a solo hacker, but you have a disadvantage because you have a certain short amount of time, usually 2 or 3 days. Online hackathons usually goes for a month long. So for example, what we are doing right now on Solana is called Breakout Blossom Hackathon. This is about a month long. You have to submit your updates or commit on the GitHub repo or fast story every week, right? So it's they have 4 different sprints. They're about a month long, but usually the offline hackathons, just like what we did in Seoul, it's always like 2 or 3 days. And usually they have a couple of different tracks. They have a general track and they have a customized, like a special track. And the projects definitely want to see more buildings, like building on their network or apps, right? So there's always going to be hackathons, or I always say there's another kind of field that I want you to focus if you're the builders to capture the flag, like CFD, CTF, sorry. capture the flag. I know in the international, a lot of like security audit firms are hiring, these smart, intelligent college kids from the capture the flag CTM. So if you're good at like hacking, reviewing the codes, find the bugs, anything like that, then that's another field that you should look at, right? But if you're more into building a service where you can trust the users, make something meaningful, solving the actual problems, and I want you to attend a lot of like boot camps and ideathon and hackathon.
So, like, what happened after the hackathon winning? Like, what kind of resources can I get? Like, is that just money or like what else?
Yeah, so it's not only the money. I always say that what you get is as mentors and advisors. And usually the funny thing is, if you win the hackathon, if you win like as a first winner or the whole track winner, actually all the VCs or the angel investors come to you. Right? That's what I'm seeing right now. All these winners are getting inbound requests from these VCs that they want to invest in. So I think that's one of the great things.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about me, the winning projects. So the question. Yeah, so definitely pitching is really important. You gotta be able to really explain your idea, what logics go behind. So I always say them to kind of practice on your pitch, especially in English. Especially if you're going to the global level hackathons, I think your pitching is important, and your demos too, right? You don't want to make it too long. I usually recommend your pitching should be 3 or 4 minutes with Q&A is 5 minutes, or the maximum 6-7 minutes. Their attention span is not that long, and there are so many like different projects, so you want to be able to capture their attention within first 2 or 3 minutes. With the demos, it's gonna be quick demo, basically showing what your product is, the logic behind it, and always recommend using the videos, right? So yeah, I think definitely idea is important too, but I think ability to deliver your message is also important.
Okay, so tell a story, keep it short, try to record on the video. Okay, it's basically because we try to review some hackathon submissions also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's very important for that kind of reviewing process, right?
Yes.
You gotta imagine the judges, they have to review like 100 submissions.
Right.
So they can only just spend like a few seconds to few minutes on each project.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Any questions from the students? 有吗？大家有问题吗？ Yeah, it's the first class we using English, so maybe a bit shy here. Anyways, I'm glad you mentioned the breakout hackathon, and I know that Superteam is hosting the side tracks on Superteam Earn. So, this is the hackathon we are talking about, like Solana hosting online globally. This one is called Breakout. It's back to the points that why we use blockchain, right? We don't want to just use blockchain for certain kind of groups, certain kind of people. We want the world to use it like everyone can use it without knowing you are using blockchain. So I think that's a great topic this year. We have this hackathon. Now we want to let Solana break out to the normal people, to people's daily life, to onboard the next billion users. So it's already ongoing. It's gonna be 1 month hackathon online. So students 同学们可以去扫这个右边这个 QR code。对，那这个 hackathon 是分2个地方举行。OK，so 我们看到左边这张图有写到这个，对，这也可以画笔。OK，这个 Colosseum。 OK，Colosseum 是一个骇客松的举行平台，那他们其实是一个算是活动的主会场吧。对，所以他们上面会有很多的不同赛道。那这些赛道指的可能是你要做 DeFi，你要做游戏，或者是你要做一些 payment 的相关的不同的赛道，那你可以去选择你想要参与的地方。那这边这个 QR code 是到这个 Super Team 2，也就是我们今天一直在讲这个开发者团队这些 Super Team 他们自己从这个主赛道延伸出来的一些 bonus，一些 additional 的额外的赛道这样子。所以这两个其实是分开，那两个都可以参加。对，那这边刚才 Scott 也有提到，就是说，如果要在这些hackathon 里面脱颖而出的话，其实蛮重要的是要怎么去把这个故事说好。对，然后用最简单的方式把一个故事很简单的传达到别人评审的眼中，评审的在评审的审核中脱颖而出这样。所以怎么讲故事的能力，其实在区块链是相对重要的。对，那赢了这些 hackathon 之后呢，当然你会有拿到奖金，但是更多的是得到一些项目方的资源，或者是一些像比如说Solana基金会的资源。对，那这些资源可能是可以帮你找到投资人，或者是找到一些可以帮你对接的项目。对，因为在区块链创业的话，比较特别是你创了一个业线项目，其实你很容易就应该说你很需要去跟其他的项目去做配合。对，毕竟它是一个去中心化的一个环境。那怎么样让每个项目跟每个项目合作协作，让这个链更好，其实是更大的一个目标。对，so 这些可以去看看。那这些基本上是 hackathon 基本上参加是没有成本的，就是把你的 idea 写下来，因为我看你们已经期中报告已经交了一个初步的 idea 嘛。对，那这边就可以去研究一下。Okay, I think no further questions from the students. All right,
谢谢您，
谢谢。
谢谢您。Thank you guys. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
See you next time. OK，好吧，那我们把画面留在这边几分钟吧，大家有问题可以提问。比如说，这个 practice 比较是希望能够激起大家一些想象吧。究竟要看到区块链这么强大，这么好用，这么多金流，那到底我能够做什么事情啊？所以，刚才从 Scott 的分享里面都有提到，就是从身边的发生的事情去找，对，不管是你的台湾，或者是这个你待的这个小社区，或者你的家庭，或者你个人所面临的一些问题或者是挑战。OK，好，那我们就画面停在这边那大家有问题可以问，我们会待到大概3:50。那如果想下课，你可以先下课喽，谢谢。助教在吗？助教不在。哦，好，助教有没有什么要交代的？没有，OK。大家是考完试还是还没考完试？OK，搞得好吗？大家不会考不好？OK，YCC 考得好吗？现在同学都这么害羞。哦，报告。 所以不用考试。比较多是报告。对，其中的报告怎么样？就是这堂课的。优秀，可以辍学创业。不行，这被录下来，没有，当我没说。OK，助教，其中的这堂课的报告怎么样？对，时间太短，是指每个人上台的时间吗？我现在开直播。嗯，1分钟，哇塞，真的有点短。正常来说大概3分钟吧。就是这个 VC 就是创业投资机构、创投机构，他们有时候会举办那种叫做 speed pitching 还是 speed dating 之类的，就是要让这种新的项目上到一个场合，然后大家上台去，大家用3分钟去讲你的 project 要做什么。那台下都是全部是投资人，所以这种场合就是可以让大家很快的 get 到你要做什么，然后决定要不要投资你这种场合，所以它叫一个 speed pitching。那这个1分钟的话确实偏短。题目应该不会这么短吧？就这样，这可能抓3分钟会比较理想一点。OK，好啊，可以参考看看这种 speed pitching。我找一下范例。speed pitching。哦，5分钟哎，哇塞，贴过来，类似这种吧。对，但他们是5分钟。那我觉得我们这些同学们没有要跟投资人讲话的话，就3分钟差不多。3分钟可能比较好去讲出他们的 idea。OK，那大家目前准备这些报告下来有没有什么问题？就你们可能不知道做什么，还是不知道怎么进行下一步，好吗？如果有的话，我们可以再开别的课程去指导一下，如果有需要的话。OK，因为我们现在课程比较是偏向在资讯层面的。对，如果真的要到应用的话，就要看大家的吸收能力，就看这些话题啊，这些主题能不能引发大家去有个启发、一个思考等等的。对，就它比较是资讯面的。那真的实做就要看大家从这些课程有 get 到多少，有转化多少成为你的想法，然后做出来。嗯，好啊，大家不下课也不问问题。好，不然，嗯，哦，8到10分钟，分组到4月23。OK，那蛮够的，时间蛮够的。OK，那我们这边就到这边好了，就大家就去自由飞吧。啊，网络上有没有推荐学 Rust 的资源？哦，Rust 有 有一个叫 Rare Skill 的网站，这个，但它要不要付费我不太确定。Rare Skill，然后我记得手上的官方有一些资源，好像有一个 YouTube channel。我要找一下，然后我再传在那个群组里面。OK，然后建议大家去看一下那个 Online Hackathon 的部分，是这种其实就是没有成本的，你甚至也不用 coding，因为这些评审啊，他们要看几百个项目，几百个提交，所以他们不可能每个都去看每个扣那个谈话的时间，对啊，所以像这个是刚才说的一个支线赛道，就是这个支线赛道比较会偏项目本身，但如果我们去看 Solana、Colosseum， 好，我们来研究一下吧。Colosseum 这是主赛道、主会场，对，我们看一下今年有什么赛道。对，奖金25万美元 ，OK， 好，哦，放大放，大家知道，就是那个30秒创你自己名片的网站，他们丢了5万块当做总奖金，当做大奖，对，所以代表他们应该会对这种民营币或者是怎么讲，自己发币这种项目会特别感兴趣。对啊，你们要注意是像这种，这是他投的奖金，他投的这个赛道奖金，所以基本上他们会占比较大的屏蔽。对，那我们可以去看这些，好，这是不同赛道在这边。OK， 今年有这些，DePIN、稳定币、DeFi、AI，其实差不多是这些啊。然后消费者的 App、基础建设、游戏，对吧？其实这些都可以去看看。那我觉得参加这种也不一定就是一定要赢，或者是要怎么样，反而是一个经验吧，对吧？就是怎么样把你的想法转成一个大家看得懂的东西，大家看了会有共鸣的东西，这是在区块链蛮重要的。对，所以我知道大家都非常有创意，怎么样把它转成现实，转成实体，这是可以去练习的地方。OK，其实不管在区块链还是在哪里都是吧，创业也是啊，一般的创业也是，然后上台报告也是，对吧？所以这是一个很好的练习，而且搞不好你还真的就赢了这些奖金。OK， 好吧，我到时候把这个也传到群组里面。什么东西 ？OK， 感谢。受上面发项目，基金会给予一些赞助吗？还是要自己找 VC？其实参加这种hackathon 的好处就是它是官方办的，所以其实在这上面参与会比较有机会被官方看到。那如果你是从零开始，没有任何资源，也不认识任何人，就做了一个项目，那会被官方看到的几率会比较小一点。对，所以其实参加这种还是比较好的曝光。那这个 Colossian 他自己本身也有一个这个 incubate program， 就是什么孵化，算孵化器吧，孵化器。也就是说，你参加了像刚才带到那个 hackathon 得名了之后，他们会对你进行 interview。那 interview 如果有成的话，他们会给你一个启动资金，你看这是25万美元，这个台币很多，计算一下。对，那除了奖金之外，他们也会帮你对接一些资源。那资源当然包含钱嘛，他们会帮你对接 VC，也会帮你对接一些必要的合作项目， 比如说你要做 DeFi，那他们可能会帮你对接 Radiant 这种流动性提供者，这样你才有启动你的项目的必要资源，对，对吧？对吧？So yeah，没有成本，参加看看，参加也无妨。对啊，不同链一定玩法不一样啊。那我觉得手拉拿是相对稳定在做这件事情。对，OK，那大家如果懒得看英文的话，我们 Gen3 会整理一个这个 Hackathon 的介绍，然后再传中文版给大家看。Yeah，好吧，那就不耽误大家时间了。那就非常感谢大家参与哦。那今天是第一堂我们举办的课嘛，那是用英文，大家可能会听得比较辛苦一点。我只是带到一个最主要核心的概念，就是踏入区块链第一天，你一定要会英文，OK？你一定要会英文。那踏入区块链第一天，你一定要会英文以外，你是跟全世界在协作，因为区块链是没有边界的，对吧？它是一个无国界、无许可的一个环境。那英文势必很重要。那更重要的是，我们要有一个国际观。OK，我们不会再拿三重的某一区的什么事件拿来当做这个很大的问题。那其实或许在这个国际的角度上，它是一个很小的问题。这样，所以如果可以的话，更多的去关注整个世界的动向。对，那我们讲比特币为什么会出现，就是因为钱出了问题嘛，这个金钱这个系统出了问题，对吧？那为什么会出问题？比特币又想要解决什么问题？那为什么延伸到区块链？这些历史都可以去稍微了解一下，对吧？这样我们可以更知道区块链下一步要往哪里走。OK，那多听宝博的节目吧，我也是听他那边学来的。OK，好，那今天就到这边喽，谢谢大家，我们下一拜见，拜拜，拜拜拜拜，必要链接我再传到群组，OK，拜。